So if my being miserable wasn't enough once, let's see if me being miserable is good enough twice.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, for round 2 of Locked On Bama for today, post-apocalypse. I don't know, Vandapocalypse. I hope some people are back. Jimmy's back with me now. I just went on a 32-minute soliloquy about how god-awful that was, that my Saturday afternoon was shot like that. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I'm sorry, FanDuel, I have to mention you in conjunction with all this stuff. But I do. I'm contractually obligated. I want to thank all you everydayers for joining us, I guess. I don't know what to say, man. Jimmy, you go. I talked for 33 straight minutes a minute ago. It's out there. It's on the internet. Thank you, Al Gore. I can't even enjoy Nate Bargatze is going to be the host of Saturday Night Live. I can't even enjoy that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. I didn't know. Who's the musical guest?
I don't care. Oh, it makes sense. Coldplay, because I feel like somebody dropped a cold bucket on my head. Oh, I can't just drink this.
Oh, you need one of these.
Okay.
Well, okay. Defensively, F minus. One of the worst defensive performances of my lifetime of watching Alabama football. One thing I'll point out, Alabama's lost to worse teams. They really have. Alabama's lost to teams worse than that. This Vandy team's pretty good. They're excellent for Vanderbilt. And hey, I want to give the kid a lot of credit. Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did this himself. He was fantastic. He put a lesser team on his back and slayed Goliath. Hey, give the kid a lot of credit. That was great. But F minus for the Alabama defense. I think the offense was okay. Yeah. Had Alabama gotten the ball back at the end, I think they would have won the game. They had the ball very little throughout the game. In terms of points per time of possession, it was pretty impressive. There's no one on the offense that I want to throw under the bus by any means. I thought the offense was okay, but the defense gave Alabama no chance. And in the end, Luke, this is what's really disturbing to me at the end, is that Alabama's failure to onside kick at the end cost them the game. They trusted the defense to give them the ball back. That was a mistake, because trusting that defense today for a half of a second was just wrong. And I can't say enough bad things about the defense and Kane Womack today. And I'll even throw this in at the end just because I'm in a bad mood. Malachi Moore, I love you. I think you're one of the all-time great Alabama leaders. I would suspend him and not play him next week.
What happened? Jimmy, what happened at the end? I was so disgusted I walked out.
At third or fourth down at the end of the game, Malachi Moore, the ball's set for Vandy to take a snap and kneel it out, and Malachi walked up and kicked the ball 25 yards.
No, just suspend him. I'm fine with that.
I would suspend him for next week as a message to the team about how disappointing the whole thing was. And I say that as a gigantic Malachi fan. I mean,
I got pictures of Malachi Moore's mama. I think she's wonderful. I think he's wonderful. This is a stupid play. Hey,
that was frustration gone way too far. And where was that frustration in the first quarter? And again, I'm just outraged by that defensive performance. I've read for years about how upset Alabama fans were about giving up 52 in Knoxville a couple years ago. That Tennessee team was badasses, and that Tennessee team was outduding Alabama at spot. They had NFL dudes all over the place, and they kind of outduded us. That at times, this was a 3 stars beating their butts physically, and this is way worse than Tennessee and Knoxville in 2022. And again, anybody that, hey, it's F minus, and I'm not going to stop people from piling on the defense. We'll do some positivity by the end of the show, because there is some positivity that I'll bring up by the end of the show. But I did need to rant on the defense. The offense was okay. The offense was fine. 35 points on the road in Nashville should win, but it did not.
Yeah. I'm looking. I didn't have the ability to look at stats, not physically, like mentally, to look at the stats when I did the solo show a minute ago. And I'm looking here, total yards, Vandy outgained us. We outpassed them. They still passed for 252. They outrushed us. They doubled us up on rushing, Jimmy. Vandy doubled us up 100%, like right at it, 166 to 84. They had 54 rushes. We had 21.
What was the time of possession? Since you're looking at it right now, Luke, what was the time of possession?
Possession, 42 minutes to 18 minutes.
There you go. That's the game. Alabama scored 35 points in only 18 minutes. Do the math. Do the math over how many points that would mean if you possess the ball for just 30 minutes. I mean, it's time of possession. Alabama's defense couldn't get off the field. Vandy kept converting third downs. And again, give Diego Pavia a lot of credit. I do. What a performance. But he's not Cam Newton. They made him into something he's not. He's really, really good. Oof, Alabama made him look more than really, really good.
You know what I just thought about, Jimmy? I was thinking about the very beginning of this game when Kalen DeBoer came out and he had on that Schmedium shirt. It's the worst shirt I've ever seen a human being wear. And I've seen a really, really fat guy wear a shirt that says, "I beat anorexia."
Also, F minus on my wife was pointing this out, and I couldn't disagree. I mean, it kind of set the tone, right? And I don't want to be that. It kind of what the coaching staff wore, and by the way, Kane Womack was dressed even worse. Set the tone. Now, that's silly, but heck, everything is up for criticism tonight.
I think everything's up for grabs. Starting position wise, team leader wise. Tell you, Malachi is one of the team leaders, right? Isn't he a captain? Is he not?
Yeah, he is. He is a captain.
And you're going to tell me our team captain is going to go kick the ball?
Yeah.
Just because he's pouting? Yeah. And again, I love Malachi Moore. You love Malachi Moore. That's disgusting, disturbing behavior that has to stop. And a message has to be sent. And I would be fine if Kalen DeBoer said, "Guys, y'all let me know what you want." I'd be fine. I hope he would say, "Let me suspend him." But if he said it's on the leadership council or whatever, okay. But something has to be done.
The defense was really, really bad. And the plan was bad. They were ill-prepared. They didn't play hard enough. The interior of the defensive line was physically whipped by Vanderbilt. Physically whipped by Vanderbilt. All that stuff is true. But here we go. This is the same Alabama team that beat Georgia. This is the same Alabama team that crushed Wisconsin up in Madison. Do not throw in the towel on 2024. If you do, you are a candidate for old takes exposed, or whatever they call it, or worse takes exposed. This was not the Alabama team that you're going to see going forward. I don't believe so. But don't make too much of this. But at the same time, today was a lesson in making too much of what happened last week. It's college football, and these kids, it's a different team every week. Lou Holtz said that years ago. It's never left me. And it's so true. He said, when you coach a college football team, you coach a different team every week.
Okay, fair enough, Jimmy. I'm also going to tell you why you're off your rocker when we come back. Right now, I want to tell you about FanDuel, though. Hey, NFL fan. Hey, am I muted? Oh, no.
No,
Hey,
no, I love FanDuel. I'm just loving FanDuel tonight because I'm on a roll picking games. I'm never on a roll picking games, but I'm on a roll picking games, so I love FanDuel.
Well, FanDuel tomorrow for the NFL, FanDuel will really be hooking you up because there will be a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's only, and I mean only, at FanDuel.com, which is America's #1 sports book. Jimmy, here's why you're an idiot from what you said last time. Not really. You are right. I'm going to say you're right about throwing in the towel on 2024. You don't do that. You don't. Nobody's doing that. Anybody who's listening, and Luke and Jimmy
I'm sure people are doing that.
Sure. Nobody, we're not. And I know some other people. No, there are plenty of people throwing in the towel. And frankly, I don't blame them. I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying I don't blame them. Now, when I did my solo pod before we came on this one, I had a couple of folks say, "You're just taking this too hard. It's one loss." I said, "Nope, not taking it hard enough." Y'all don't, if you're not an Alabama fan if you think that you can take this loss hard enough. This isn't a loss. This is the worst loss in Alabama history, at least the most embarrassing.
I don't totally disagree.
Well, tell me what's worse.
In this context, Alabama's lost to worse teams than Vanderbilt.
But not with this good a team.
Exactly why you might be onto something. I think this might be the worst Alabama loss I've seen in my lifetime in terms of a good Alabama team losing to a team that's not great. I've seen Alabama lose to Louisiana Monroe. I've seen them lose to Central Florida. I've seen them lose to Hawaii. I've seen them lose to Louisiana Tech twice. None of those,
right? Wasn't that back-to-back years too?
None of those Alabama teams were good, except maybe the '99 Alabama team that lost Louisiana Tech. That would be the closest thing to what we saw today. The '99 Alabama team that actually won the SEC, went to the Orange Bowl. They lost to Louisiana Tech. I'm with Luke in this sense. I think this Alabama team is even better than that '99 Alabama team, and they still lost to an extreme. Vanderbilt lost to Georgia State. I know this Vanderbilt team pushed Missouri to overtime, came within a score of. Vanderbilt's looked impressive at times. They lost to Georgia State and beat Alabama. It is outrageously bad, and I do think Alabama's defense, led by Kane Womack, again, I can't say anything worse than F- in terms.
And I don't care what you say if you're like, "Oh, they're going in between schemes."
No.
The scheme should be stop Vanderbilt's dudes who aren't in your area code of talent.
There's not one single player on their team that would start at Alabama, including Diego Pavia. So no, it's not scheme. It's just absolutely not prepared to play. Terrible plan, terrible adjustments, players that mailed it in. It's coaches and players both. And if any player is upset about hearing that, then you shouldn't be. That's outrageously bad. But here's your chance. They've got plenty of time to make up for this, because that loss is not going to keep Alabama out of the playoff. You got to lose again to not make the playoff. So you've got an opportunity. Take advantage of it.
Jimmy, I said this earlier. I said I've seen a fat guy wearing an I Beat Anorexia shirt. I've seen the episode of Seinfeld where the moths eat George Costanza's father's beachwear. It's the worst shirt I've ever seen. And I don't care if Nike said, "Alabama, we're trying to push this new line. We got this cheap line, and we're worried about the port strike, so we got all these ugly shirts, and we got to unload them because we ain't got anything else." we'll give y'all $100,000 a coach to wear it. It wasn't worth it. It's the worst shirt I've ever seen. If you own that shirt, you deserve to what you're going to get. It's the worst shirt I've ever seen.
I wasn't at the game. I'm just watching with my wife. I'm watching with my stepdad. I'm watching with some family. And I carefully picked out this collared Alabama. I went through, I got about 9 or 10 Alabama shirts. I'm in Fairhope and not in Tuscaloosa. I got more of my Alabama shirts up there. I'm just saying, I carefully picked out a collared, nice Alabama shirt watching the game on TV with my wife. I'm not sure what we pick out to watch the game.
Let me say, it's almost like he was like, all right, everybody ready to go? And they're like, Coach, you don't have a shirt on. Oh, God, throw me something ugly and I'll put it on. Let me say this. G-Ski, worst name ever, G-Ski Billy, Geeski, and then Billy with an I, says, last week everybody said we was a championship team. Now y'all are ready to give up on the team. Nobody, we just told you not to give up on them.
Well, I'm not giving up on this team. We're the same team that beat Georgia, the same team that was ranked number 1. It's just a great example of what, like I said, what Lou Holtz said years ago. It stuck with me forever. Buddy of mine brings it up all the time. Lou Holtz said, when you coach a college football team, you coach a different team every week. This is the same Alabama team that beat Georgia. And it's the same Alabama team that could win all their games moving forward. But there has to be more focus. There has to be more discipline. There has to be more professionalism. There has to be more discipline. That's the most disappointing thing. Because here's 17 years of Nick Saban, and I'm not going to, this never would have happened under Saban. Well, guess it really didn't. I mean, 07, sure. But that was a bad team. That team wasn't good enough. It's just really bad. And they have the opportunity to climb out of the hole based on their talent and the schedule that lays in front of them. But they got a lot of climbing to do, man.
Let me say, somebody else says, Daggers Down says, y'all are crybaby ass haters. We needed this wake-up call. No, we didn't. A wake-up call is when somebody says, hey, you got to get up and go to work. It's not when somebody drops a cinder block on your legs or does like in the movie Misery where they put a 2x4 in between your legs and then hammers them and goes, now you can't walk well anymore. You won't do that anymore, will you?
Alabama hasn't lost to Vanderbilt. Alabama hasn't lost to Vanderbilt since 1984. And that Alabama team finished 5-6.
That was not a wake-up call.
It's not a wake-up call. That was outrageously
embarrassing. Like, you know what it is, Jimmy? It's waking up and you find out your best friend is in bed with you and your wife, and she's deciding, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore. And that's not, yes, you wake up that way and it stinks, but it's not a wake-up call.
It's a heck of an analogy. I don't know if that's an analogy. That was wow.
Somebody else said Vanderbilt must see.
That was the most shocking thing. I mean, I watched the whole game, and I think that was the most shocking thing I've heard today.
Somebody said, everybody's like, wow, Luke, that may have been too far. I'll tone it back. That's on me. But somebody said, Vanderbilt must have seen something on film. Yeah, our defense. That's what they saw.
Hey, I think here, okay, let's get a little serious instead of the ranting.
Okay, but let's do it after this break.
Perfect.
Can we do it after a break? I need a break.
Absolutely. Who are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about game time.
Game time. Oh, I love game time. By the way, I got a concert coming up. Hey, Luke's doing the live reads. I'm just going to throw this in. I got a concert coming up that I would like to go to very much. It's a concert. I'm not going to tell you guys who it is. But I'm monitoring prices. I look at game time every day. As a matter of fact, twice a day, because I'm just monitoring prices. And when the prices hit a certain amount, I'm in. So I look at game time twice a day just for this concert. There's so many other things that game time does. But when Luke always talks about how, hey, the people that we, these products, we're into it ourselves. But I look at game time twice a day, waiting for this concert to give me a price where I'm like, hey, we're going. So Go ahead, Luke. Now you go.
Well, you
Sorry.
pretty much nailed the live read there, I think. So go check out Game Time. Use code Locked On College, and I promise you, if you're looking for Bama tickets, you're gonna find some good prices now, bruh. So now's the time to go get you some tickets on Game Time and enjoy yourself. All right, Jimmy, get serious. You wanted to.
Yeah, Post Malone is, by the way, that concert. I said I wasn't going to say, but I'm looking forward to the Post Malone show at the Wharf in Orange Beach, and I just look at it twice a day because I would like to go, but I'm not going to pay $800 to see Post Malone. But Game Time's going to let me go for a good deal. Okay, so here's the thing. Kane Womack's defense. Was today a terrible performance because of what happened last week and we didn't have a good plan and we weren't prepared? Or is Kane Womack's scheme ill-suited to be successful in the SEC? Isn't that a big question? I mean, to me, it's a big ass question, to be honest. I mean, is Kane Womack's scheme, is his plan, was it a fail today or is it a fail period? And obviously that answer's to come. And I'm not telling you that it is a fail period, but it was so bad today, it's fair to ask the question. Is his 3-3-5, which is such a dramatic difference from what we were doing before, and he's inherited these dudes, and I know these aren't the dudes he recruited to play in this system, but let's be honest, at Alabama you got dudes, period, because of of Alabama's recruiting. But I think that's a good question today. Was today a failure, or is this scheme a failure? And I'm not coming down hard one side or the other. I'm just asking the question because it's fair on a day you give up 40 to Vanderbilt.
Yeah. You gave up 40 to Vanderbilt. How many times did Vandy punt? 2, 3, maybe?
I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if they punted 3 times, I'll be shocked. Certainly wasn't more than 3. And again, it comes down to this. Does Alabama win the game if they try an onside kick at the end? The failure was trusting the defense. They trusted the defense to get the ball back. What game were they watching? And again, I wasn't saying, hey, onside kick this, onside kick. I sort of agreed with the idea to kick it deep. What were we all thinking? They were never going to get the ball back. I mean, Vanderbilt's offense just took Alabama's defense to school, and Diego Pavia talked trash all the way through it, and the kid backed it all up.
Hey, they got in our face.
Yeah,
they got in. And here's the other thing, Jimmy. I would be fine if Alabama said, I know how the rest of the country is. Okay, whatever. And I'm sure that we got to have some double numbers, especially if you go to 105 or whatever. I'd be fine if we said, we ain't doing any more double numbers. Y'all can rock, paper, scissors for number 2 or number 1 or number 16 or number 23. I don't care.
Don't even get me started.
I've
ranted against double numbers before. I've ranted against it before. I hate it. I know you do it for recruiting. I know you do it for the kids. And again, I'm old school, and I know everybody's like, how old is this guy? But, hey, you know what? Never would have happened under Bryant. Never would have happened under Stallings. Never would have happened under them because, guys, just take your number and go. And I'm not blaming on the kids. That was a coaching staff mega failure for putting 2 number 2s on the coaching staff mega failure. But double numbers is just dumb. It's just dumb. And why not have your own? It's the NIL era. Don't you want to sell jerseys with a specific number on it so you can make some money? How are you making? Is Xavier Brown making more money sharing a number with Ryan Williams? How about if you had your own unique number? Wouldn't you make more NIL money selling jerseys and shirts? I mean, I don't get that. But again, in terms of the penalty that hurt Alabama today, I'm not going to blame that on the players. And certainly not Xavier's fault. It's the coach's fault, 100%. But do I like double numbers? I freaking hate double numbers. It just makes no sense to me at all. Like,
and look,
why?
I want to be clear again because it's so funny how we get some people on here. They're like, you know, y'all are just crying haters. No, Okay, we are crying and we are hating this. We do hate this. Okay, we're also just venting because this is god awful. We hadn't experienced this in God knows how long. I mean, since 07. The last time this happened, Jimmy, I only had 2 kids and one of them wasn't even 1 yet. I got 4 kids with 1 in college
and
one
again,
going to Bama next year.
Today's loss is worse than anything in 07 because that 07 Alabama team wasn't good. This team is good. This team's capable of doing great things. We saw evidence of it 7 days ago. And I know people don't like hearing us pile on, but my job, or the way I view it, is to be an analyst. It's not to be a cheerleader. It's an analyst. Today's terrible. That's terrible. That's one of the lowest days in Alabama history. I'm not doing my job if I don't tell y'all that was horrible. And the defense particularly to blame. And I'll be talking about it all week here on the show in terms of the X's and O's. I'm going to do the rewatch. And when I do the rewatch, it's going to be pretty brutal because I'm going to say, hey, this dude didn't do good enough. And you got to do that when you tune in after Georgia to hear about how great it was. There's a downside to it also.
For the 1000th time. And there's some people who won't make it this far because they think they've already just labeled what we're saying to fit their narrative. We are not giving up on the team. There is a path to the playoffs. I'm just telling you, it is exponentially tougher than if we had lost to Georgia in giving up a 30-7 lead and lost 34-33 and beaten Vanderbilt and covered. It is exponentially tougher in the sense that the at-large bid is going to be a lot harder for us. And on top of that, tell me why, and I know Tennessee's getting all they want from Arkansas on that right now. I know that. Tell me why anybody would be super optimistic about holding down LSU or holding down Tennessee. For that matter, for the love of God, holding down Auburn.
Well, I would say right now, if I was voting and based on where we're at, I'd vote Texas as the number 1 team. Certainly not Alabama. Texas number 1. But I would also say if Alabama played Texas next week, I don't rule out Alabama winning that game. Alabama's capable of beating Texas. Alabama's capable of beating anybody. They proved that just 7 days ago. But, boy, Kalen DeBoer last year, this was brought up to me. Kalen DeBoer last year beat Oregon. That was a big deal at Washington. They beat Oregon, and then the next week almost lost to a terrible Arizona State team that's not as good as this Vanderbilt team, probably. I'm wondering if this is a DeBoer thing. Playing poorly after big wins, playing poorly on the road. We'll find these things out as we go along. But, gosh, my main thing is, I know we're about to get out of here. My main thing is this. Nick Sheridan, fine. Okay, C, B minus. Kane Womack, F minus. Get your guys together and play better. It's got to be better than that.
Kane Womack made me say, my kingdom for Pete Golding's return.
And like I said, that Golding game that people beat Pete up so bad for Tennessee, that Tennessee team was full of dudes. Dudes beat Alabama that night. Vanderbilt has 1 half dude or a dude at quarterback. But,
I got to say this. I got to chime in with this. Jesse Brock says they'll use this as a wake-up call. DeBoer is 109-13. Don't overreact. It's not an overreaction when you're super upset you lost to Vanderbilt as the number 1 team in the country.
Some of DeBoer's teams at Sioux Falls would have beaten Vanderbilt.
No doubt.
They lost to Georgia State.
I don't know how to get this off of there. There we go. No, that's my point is quit saying, hey, guys, either you're not taking it hard enough or you're taking it too hard. We are saying we are not giving up on this team, yet that what we saw today was both unacceptable and, frankly, disgusting. And on top of that, for some of our leaders to act the way they did at the end of that game is even more disgusting.
I also didn't like Milroe. I know he's got to sit down and rest to some extent, but the defense, this is just me. This is just me. Milroe's sitting on the bench, waiting to get the ball back, and the defense needs to stop. I think he needs to be up on this. I didn't see enough leadership. Milroe just waiting to get the ball back, sitting comfortably. And I'm not blaming anything on Jalen. I'm just saying be loud. I mean, our softball girls chant for 7 innings, whether we're up 9 runs or down 9 runs. And I don't like the offense sitting on the bench when the defense needs a stop. I mean, after they've done their meeting, after they've done their, hey, this is going to be the plan when we get back on the field, get up at the front of the sidelines and cheer your guys on. I didn't like the leadership at the end at all. And
it was a defeatist attitude.
And certainly what Malik, defeatist, exactly. And what Malachi did, again, I would suspend him. I wouldn't play him for the first half next
100%.
week. Just 100%. Myself, and I know that's so old school that all the younger people are like, hey, it's okay to be mad. Well, why are you okay with Malachi being mad and not being okay with me and Luke being mad?
Yeah, exactly. Boy, that's the point of the whole pod is we're saying it's okay for one of our team captains to kick the ball after his team just flubbed it as poorly as they could. And he didn't play well either, by the way. And
no, he actually
but you and I can't get on here and be like, hey, that sucked. Oh, y'all are a couple of haters. You dang right I'm hating right now. You deserve to be hated on. And here's the thing. Fans invest in this. You don't think they do? Just ask Jimmy and me. We don't know our butts from deep center field, and we got a bunch of people watching us right now.
I know this. I bet our ratings tonight are through the roof with our Auburn viewers. They're loving this. They're
I've seen Auburn, Georgia.
Hey, y'all lost too. So y'all shut up.
No. Jimmy, we deserve it. I can't do anything but say, yeah, thank you, sir. May I have another? That was horrible. We deserve it. All right. That's going to do it for the second reaction pod to this unbelievable, disgusting loss. And we'll be back tomorrow with more.
I'll still be upset tomorrow morning. Y'all might think it's like, no, I'm going to be upset. But prediction. Bama plays much better next week and beat South Carolina.
For the love of God, somebody else just did it, Jimmy. I got to put it up there. Stacey Marshall, y'all need to chill. It's a wake-up call. Again, please go back and look at some of my other analogies.
Wake-up call is only winning by 10.
Yeah, that's a wake-up call. This isn't a wake-up call. This is wake up, you're fired.
This is a humiliation. Bear Bryant would have fired his whole staff. Now, of course, he'd have had to have them next week, but Bear Bryant would have fired his whole staff tonight. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, anybody that knows Bryant would agree. Now, of course, he's got to have a staff to coach the next week, but that's how Bryant would have rolled. This wasn't a wake-up call. It's way worse than that. But does that mean that the rest of the season needs to be flushed? Of course not. But oof. That was bad.
Oof is good. Oof is good. All right. That's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Even you people who are actually hating and who hate Alabama, more power to you. I don't blame you. Come in here and just give it all to us. We deserve it. Until next time, until tomorrow, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.